Episode 702. If Chen Guo had the breath to talk, things must be looking up. He lifted his gaze to where Yi Shu currently stood, the Mirage Ancient City Ruins. This Miluo Ancient City Ruins was one of the level 55 zones in the Heavenly Domain. According to the lore, this ancient city was abandoned 1,000 years ago after a volcanic eruption and earthquake. Most of it has since sunk underground, and what little remains above the surface is weathered and crumbling. The ruins of Milo weren't all that big. This wasn't exactly a leveling zone crawling with monsters. This small remnant of the city above ground was more like a clue, guiding people to explore the true Milo ancient city buried deep underground for 1,000 years. And this was the site of the massive 100-player dungeon that had tortured countless players to death back in the day. The Miro Ancient City. Chen Guo checked Lord Grimm's level, 54, still halfway to 55. There was no way he'd suddenly hit the next level and duck into the dungeon. Yi Chu had Lord Grimm come here, clearly planning to use the terrain to his advantage and play a game of cat and mouse with the enemy.
20 people.
Yi Shu moved the microphone on his headset aside as he spoke to Chen Guo, clearly worried that his voice might carry and give away their position. At that moment, Lord Grimm had taken cover in the corner of a stone house that was only a third intact. Through a gap in the wall, he was observing the outside.
I've roughly estimated it. Should be about this number.
Yi Shu had finally figured out his opponent's strength after all that dodging.
Who are they?
Not sure. Doesn't matter, though. These guys are all pretty average, but their commander is a real pain.
Who's the commander?
Chen Guo was stunned. For Ye Shu to call someone troublesome, that person had to be at the pro level at least.
Not sure. Haven't had a chance to observe yet.
Yi Shu was a bit helpless. He'd been running for his life the whole way, and it was already impressive that he could estimate the enemy's numbers from their skills. But trying to figure out who was commanding 20 people when they were using text chat to issue orders was next to impossible.
If we can find the commander and take him out, the rest won't be a problem. Damn it.
Yi Shu had barely finished speaking when he let out a sharp cry and immediately hit a command. Lord Grimm executed a diving forward roll, tumbling out of that corner. A deafening crash rang out behind him. The stone wall had been blasted clean through, debris and dust exploding into the air and filling the space. That kind of penetrating power could only come from a sharpshooter's skill, the Barrett snipe. Then came an even louder blast. A small mushroom cloud even rose from the corner of the ruined house. A launcher's heat-seeking missile had landed there. Lord Grimm, having leaped clear of the wall corner, was now exposed to even more players' sight. One berserker, unable to contain himself, charged straight at him with a collision attack. That single skill perfectly showcased Yi Shu's assessment of their mediocre skill level. Yi Shu simply had Lord Grimm execute a light backstep, and the berserker ended up awkwardly standing right in front of him. The skill's charge had already reached its limit. How could Yi Shu possibly give him a second chance to attack? Lord Grimm had already stepped forward, skewering the berserker and tossing him away with a throw. Two more were closing in from behind, never expecting their vanguard berserker to suddenly become the enemy's projectile. They leaped left and right to dodge, only to realize the berserker wasn't the only thing thrown back. A grenade had followed him, well hidden in his wake. But there was no time left. The grenade detonated, and all three were sent tumbling. Yi Shu ignored the three of them. Lord Grimm spun around. Myriad Manifestations' umbrella held straight, and the three-headed fire snake unleashed a torrent of bullets. Up ahead at a small intersection, a thief was busily setting traps. When he saw the machine gun fire coming, he quickly rolled aside, only to watch his carefully placed traps get picked off one by one, each shot flipping them out of the ground and leaving them scattered on the pavement as a pile of junk. The thief was furious. He waited for the Gatling gun to finish its sweep, then was about to leap out and make his presence known, when suddenly a massive explosion erupted right behind his ass, sending him flying face first toward the trash pile. Mid-air, he twisted his head to look back and saw a heap of mechanical debris. It was a mechanical seeker, a mechanic's skill. Where had it come from? He couldn't figure it out for the life of him. Lord Grim spun halfway again, firing 2 shots into the empty air at an angle. The witch, who had been flying in from the side, was knocked down, and the gunner who had leaped onto the roof to take a shot at Lord Grim stumbled as well. The myriad manifestations umbrella shifted into a battle lance, and with a falling flower palm, he sent 2 charging melee fighters, a striker and a grappler, flying backward. These 2 were baffled. Lord Grim had just been shooting in the opposite direction. How did his palm strike suddenly land right in front of them? In one fluid motion, he struck 8 characters in succession, his perspective completing a full rotation. Yi Shu spotted the opening and immediately sent Lord Grim charging forward.
None of these 8 look like the real one.
Ye Shu said this out of nowhere.
Huh?
Chen Guo was afraid that if she yelled, Ye Shu wouldn't dare talk to her anymore. But then he went and said something like that himself. Chen Guo paused for a moment, then caught on to what Ye Shu meant.
You're saying none of these 8 look like they're taking orders from that expert. Or maybe he's only good at commanding formations, and this is his actual combat level.
That's also possible.
Yi Shu nodded, not denying it. Lord Grim, under his control, rolled and leaped in a continuous motion, spotted a gorge ahead, and charged for it. Just as he was about to slip through, a series of sharp cracks rang out. Ice walls rose up, sealing the gorge perfectly. The 6 behind were closing in, and Yi Shu had no time to break through the ice. A quick glance left and right, 6 charging from the right, 3 blocking the left. Which way to go? The choice didn't exactly require deep thought. But just then, a buzzing sound filled the air overhead. The enemy's mechanical expert had deployed an aerial drop. 2 melon-shaped contraptions, their propellers whirring, were flying straight toward Lord Grim's head. Once those things open their bellies, the bombs come dropping down in rows. Lord Grim immediately twisted his body, rolling left as he fired 2 shots at the melons in the air. Those melons were packed with explosives, no different from grenades. 2 shots hit, and they burst in midair, raining down a shower of fireworks before dropping as 2 charred, twisted lumps of scrap metal. But even after those 2 mechanical airdrops were dealt with, the air raid wasn't over yet. A witch flew out from the cover of the explosion on her broom, a flask of molten lava in hand, aiming straight for Lord Grim's head. Yi Shu had already turned Lord Grim halfway around, but he hadn't expected his opponent to have one more trick up their sleeve. So he quickly made Lord Grim leap up, transformed the myriad manifestations umbrella into a battle lance, and thrust it toward the witch. The witch was caught square by that circle swing, yanked straight out of the air and slammed into the ground. But Yi Shu was just a hair too slow this time, unable to stop the witch from tossing out that flask of molten lava. The lava flask shattered on impact, and in an instant, the pristine flagstone road became a bubbling pool of molten rock. Lord Grim was about to land on the lava when the myriad manifestations umbrella suddenly shifted again, transforming into a mechanical rotor. It spun at high speed, skimming across the lava's surface, and finally, his body escaped being scorched by the molten rock.